Welcome into the Michigan Football Report. As you see across the bottom of the screen, Zach Charbonnet is officially in the transfer portal. But if you watch this show for the past, month or two, this should become as no surprise to you because I have told you that Michigan expected quite a few transfers. And I have mentioned Zach Charbonnet by name for at least the past 5 or 6 weeks. I definitely think there was an episode right around the time that Michigan hired Mike Macdonald, or rumored to be hired Mike Macdonald as their DC, and Jim Harbaugh signed his new contract about 10, 11 days ago, where I straight out told you that Zach Charbonnet has left the University of Michigan's campus, has gone back to Southern California, staying with his parents, and wasn't expected to return onto campus. And with the mid-year freshman moving in on Saturday, players back onto campus today, returning players, and classes starting tomorrow, Zach Charbonnet has put his name in the transfer portal. But as I said, no surprise that this is happening, but might be a surprise to you guys if you haven't watched the show before. But I want to ask you this question. To get the show started, we'll kind of go into what this means, what the depth chart looks like, some other news stories around Michigan football here in a moment. Before we do, though, I want to ask you guys this question. What's your one-word reaction to Zach Charbonnet transferring from the University of Michigan football team? And the reason I ask you one-word reaction, because mine is right now expected, right? But if you asked me that 2 or 3 months ago, when he's expected to be the starting running back, when he took his first carry of the year, 70 yards for a touchdown against Minnesota, October 24th, I would have been like, devastating, right? But I don't know how about devastating he is now. If you look at his stats, and we'll kind of pop back, I'll ask you guys to answer that below, pop back to his stats, we'll talk about stats here. 19 carries this year for Michigan's freshman running back, or freshman touchdown record holder, not running back, receiver, quarterback, whatever, school record for most touchdowns scored walking into the end zone as a freshman. Zach Charbonnet set that record. 138 years in Michigan football. Charbonnet with 11 touchdowns last year is your all-time freshman record holder. 149 carries last year. And he was injured for about half the season, as told to you by me before the Wisconsin game. 19 carries, 124 yards, 1 touchdown, which came on his first carry of the year. So after that touchdown, by the way, he had 18 carries for 54 yards and no touchdowns. That's crazy to me, right? That's shocking. Hassan Haskins obviously emerged as the go-to guy. Blake Corum down the stretch was certainly in the rotation much more than Zach Charbonnet was. But I don't really know what went wrong with Zach Charbonnet's career, how he goes from being your starting running back really out of the gate as a true freshman. 33 carries in your second game as a true freshman at Michigan, a Michigan team last year in 2019 that was favored to win the Big Ten over a Justin Fields-led Ohio State team that came in with all kinds of expectations, national championship, Big Ten championship, playoff aspirations in the 2019, and you as a true freshman starter are off campus by the end of your 6-game sophomore season. I think that's a pretty shocking turn of developments. But let's talk about the 2021 running back room. It's not just Zach Charbonnet that is gone. By the way, Christian Turner, he put his name in the transfer portal a while back. I kind of told you when he opted out in August that it was expected he wouldn't really return to Michigan. He opted back in. They let him back in the team, but he didn't see the field at all as the running back is concerned. He got in a few plays in the special teams, but he is now going, Christian Turner, to Wake Forest. Good for him. He got a Power 5 offer. Hope he does well. But we got Diamond Edwards coming in. Number one player in the state of Michigan, number one skill position player in the state of Michigan. There is one player that's going to Alabama, an offensive lineman that was ranked higher by the recruiting services. But with J.J. McCarthy, with Diamond Edwards, you got a great 1-2 punch from quarterback, running back. So Edwards will be in there. He'll start the year as probably your number 3 running back. And it's going to be a battle between Hassan Haskins, your proven leader, probably your MVP of the team in a 6-game year, which you went 2-4 and needed triple overtime to beat Rutgers. I guess he might be your team MVP, Hassan Haskins, but Blake Corum showed you he could certainly do things with the ball in his hands. I don't know necessarily if he has proven that he could be an every down back, but I like the way Michigan used him when they used him. Not accounting for that ridiculous 4-man running back rotation that they tried to roll in with Haskins, Charbonnet, Corum, and Chris Evans, who is also no longer going to be a member of the team. He's not going to take the NCAA's 6th-year option that they're offering to any player who, I guess, really 2020 didn't count as your eligibility. He could come back, has decided to move on. He'll, put his name into the NFL draft. He's going to potentially play in the Senior Bowl. But 2021, I think you're no worse off than you were in 2020. You've got somebody you can rely on, Hassan Haskins. You got a player in Blake Corum who's proven that he has the speed, the agility, the ability to play at the Big Ten level. And then you've got a borderline 5-star, very high 4-star, top 50 player in the country in Donovan Edwards coming in. I think they're no worse off losing Hassan Haskins, losing Zach Charbonnet than they were a year ago. So this is a blow. This is one of your better recruits in the last 3 or 4 recruiting classes. He was a top 50 player himself coming out of the state of California. But I don't really think it impacts next year's prospects for this Michigan football team, a team that I actually think is going to struggle unless something changes, unless all the spring hype, unless all the blue Kool-Aid that we hear every year, workouts are going great, the guys with the bad attitudes, they've transferred, they've moved on, this staff is really coming together, this new staff, there's a lot of energy in the room. All that crap we hear every year that you guys, I know you don't believe anymore. This is probably the last year, this 2-4 year. We're days away from hearing that, but I don't think this is a team that should have expectations of going any better than 6-6 until we actually see it on the field, and they'll have every opportunity to prove us wrong. Second week of the year, going to play, which is likely going to be a top 20 Washington team at home, as long as there is a 2021 college football season. Corona or its brother doesn't take out another college football season when it comes to full schedules being played, interconference games, out-of-conference games being played. But make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. If you haven't watched before, this is what we do. We take the best stories out there on Michigan football. We react. We ask you guys to react to them, give you our opinions. We break news sometimes, and we certainly have a lot of insight into the program. So if you haven't watched the show before, the best show for Michigan football news, rumors, recruiting is the Michigan Football Report. Hit that red button to subscribe below, youtube.com/MichiganTV. You always can find us anytime. If you forget to subscribe, make sure you do the next time you're here on the channel. But I want to give you my thought here on this Charbonnet transfer. Why not wait till after the spring, man? Right? Like, at this point, he's going to be lucky if he enrolls anywhere else. I guess if he gets ready to announce he's already knows where his next school is going to go to, that he's already talked to some other universities where he might want to play, which I think would be technically illegal because his name just showed up in the transfer portal today. So technically he couldn't have talked to anybody, above the surface. But maybe he has. Maybe there's some backdoor conversations between his high school coaches and, let's say, USC, San Diego State, UCLA, UNLV, Utah. There's a lot of schools that have been rumored out there he could be transferring. I think it'll end up being a Pac-12 school, but it's already January 18th. Spring practice for Michigan should start here in about 5 weeks. Why not give it another run with new running backs coach Mike Hart? I don't know. If you spent 2 years in Michigan, why not see what a new coaching staff in some regards and a new position coach might do for your future? But he's made the decision. He's going to move on, and that is what it is. But I want you guys to comment below who will be Michigan's leading rusher. Let's just go from a yards perspective. Who will be Michigan's leading rusher in 2021? The smart money is clearly on Hassan Haskins. And it probably will be Hassan Haskins. But someone I heard on another podcast floated this out there yesterday with Chad Henne being back in the news, leading the Kansas City Chiefs to a victory, taking over for Patrick Mahomes yesterday. Mike Hart being Michigan's new running backs coach. Could Donovan Edwards and J.J. McCarthy be the new Hart and Henne of a new generation? Last time Michigan won a Big Ten title, 2004. Your quarterback freshman Chad Henne, your running back true freshman Mike Hart. Maybe we get a little bit of that action, and that's Donovan Edwards is your new running back. But I'm just going to put my money on who I've seen prove it the most in his Michigan career, and that is Hassan Haskins. And while you guys are commenting, make sure to click the link right there. I'll put it kind of below the pinned comment. I'll put it there, a couple times in the comments, also in the description, or just remember it. Follow me on Twitter at James Yoder. If you tell me you're an MFer, that means you watch the show. MFer, James. What kind of name is that to call somebody? It's the name of the show, Michigan Football Report, MFR. If you watch the show, you, sir, are an MFer. And if you tweet at me, you tell me you're an MFer, I'll make sure I follow you back. But go ahead, head over there now after you don't watch the show, and give me a follow on Twitter. But I ask you guys, just want to get a read of the room. How you feel about this Mike Hart hire? I'm going to tell you how I feel. I feel pretty good for a couple reasons. I think Don't. I got the peanut gallery, the Michigan football live audience laughing at me, I think, because I probably said the word a couple reasons a couple times. Whatever. I feel that Mike Hart has the potential from a culture standpoint and from a recruiting standpoint to be the assistant coach version of what Juwan Howard has turned into Michigan basketball. If you're old enough to remember when Mike Hart played 2004, 2005, 2006, 2007, he embodied really the spirit of loving Michigan football. Being a guy who wants, rah-rah, would die before he lost the game. All the things that I think Michigan has lost in the last few years under Jim Harbaugh certainly didn't have under Rich Rodriguez, and had some for the first year and a half under Brady Hoke, but that really faded off when the results didn't match the rah-rah results, and the loving Michigan didn't really play out on the field as well as Brady Hoke had hoped. So I am actually pretty excited about it. He certainly is going to be a better running backs coach than Jay Harbaugh was. That is for sure, 100%. I think he's going to pay dividends in recruiting, and I think he is going to get the vibe going better from the Michigan football team perspective on beating Ohio State. I'm kicking Michigan State's ass about running out of the damn tunnel and acting like you mean it and you want to play the game, and not the bull crap that they rolled out there when the guys ran out of the tunnel this season and kind of just jumped up, tapped the banner, and looked like they're going through the motion. Mike Hart, go watch the 2007 game. Go watch the 2006 game. Go watch all the games he played. But against Ohio State, he was the one yapping, getting in their face, leading almost a brawl on the field before the 2007 game. Mike Hart is the culture hire that Michigan needs. And frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if Josh Gattis, I'm not sure, I'll talk about it here in a second, if he doesn't work out as offensive coordinator, Mike Hart might be in line to be a co-coordinator with somebody a year from now, maybe this offseason, see how things play out with Josh Gattis, which we'll talk about right now. Will Josh Gattis be back? We shall see. Okay? You got your other radio programs around Michigan, around Ann Arbor, Detroit. They just tell you what the Michigan football program wants to tell you, which is that, Mike McDonald, Michigan just hired him yesterday, right? We told you that 2 weeks ago. I don't think Jim Harbaugh is done with his search for help on the offensive side of the ball. You got Mike Hart as your running backs coach now. You got Ed Warner as your offensive line coach. You got Sharon Moore still in there as your tight ends coach. Do you really need that? And then Gattis is your OC and your wide receivers coach. Jim Harbaugh is now the new quarterbacks coach, with Ben McDaniels moving on to unemployment for now until he gets another job. But I don't think that Jim Harbaugh is done. They've got a room for one more coach here on the staff. Okay, I think Harbaugh is still interviewing, from what dots I put together and a little bit of information that's out there, that if Josh Gattis stays, which he probably will, I don't think it's a certain thing that he's going to be your play caller or your lone offensive coordinator in the 2021 season. I still think there's a decent chance that Michigan brings in a more seasoned play caller, give that person the associate head coach / offensive, co-offensive coordinator, make Gattis the co-offensive coordinator / wide receivers coach, and let a seasoned play caller, play the call of plays for Michigan in 2021. So keep an eye on that story. Don't be caught off guard, because I think there's still a chance that happens. But I'll ask you guys this question, yes or no. Comment Y or N below. Should, not will, should Josh Gattis remain the offensive coordinator at Michigan? I say no. 2 years, you've had about 5-game stretches that you still lost. I think your record in that 5-6 game stretch was still 3-2, 4-2, where they actually looked like a competent offense down the stretch. And frankly, they were an embarrassment this year outside of one good game against what ultimately turned out to be a pretty mediocre, and that's being nice, Minnesota team. So I don't think Josh Gattis, with what other offensive coordinators have done. Think about this. Steve Sarkisian was at Alabama the exact amount of time that Josh Gattis was at Michigan. And you saw what they just put together in a year and a half, 2 full seasons, I guess, if you give him that. So I don't think Gattis should be let off the hook. He had a senior quarterback and 3 NFL-level wide receivers last year, and still took 6-7 games to get anything that resembled a Big Ten offense, in the fold. And this year with a new quarterback and a running back rotation of talent and plenty of talent at the wide receiver position, the team looked like a complete mess. So I don't think he should come back, but I'll let you guys answer below Y or N. And the reason I bring up Josh Gattis in a lot of ways is with Mike McDonald being 33 years old, a new offensive coordinator, a defensive coordinator that's never called plays before in his career, you pair that with a 36, 37-year-old Josh Gattis, who also has never called plays before coming to Michigan, that is a bad recipe to turn a 2-4 season around into something more than a 6-6 year next year. right? Jim Harbaugh is leading this youth movement. If the coaches that are rumored out there's a coach for the Ravens, there's also a coach for Florida that are rumored to be filling in the gaps for Mike Sordich, and another coach in the defensive side of the ball. Oh yeah, I'm thinking, who's the other coach? Shoop, who has never actually coached a Michigan game, the safeties coach that just magically disappeared this year. So if you fill in the gaps with these coaches that are being rumored, you're going to have 6 of your 10 coaches younger than 40 years old. Your 2 coordinators, 36 or younger, with no experience prior to that. I think that's a great recipe for recruiting. I think it's a bad recipe for turning things around in 1 year with what will already be a very, I guess, young team next year is the best way I could put them. Under-talented team going against Ohio State, going against Penn State, Michigan State going into year 2. So I don't necessarily think it's a good move. But if they're going to stick with Gattis, he is on the hot seat, as is Jim Harbaugh, as we go into this 2021 season. If you haven't yet, folks, it's at James Yoder, voted by my mom the #1 follower in 2019, 2020, and now, 3 years in a row, 2021, best Twitter follower in America covering Michigan football. So make sure you follow me at James Yoder on Twitter. You tweet at me, say I'm an MFer, following you back rest of the month of January. That's all for the show today, folks. I got some Michigan football content for you right over here. Haven't put out a new show in about a week or so, but we're back and better than ever coming up this week and beyond. So follow me on Twitter, hit these videos with a watch, and make sure you subscribe to the channel by clicking this button right here. We'll be back with some more Michigan football news and rumors coming up very soon. Go Blue.